Hi, my name is Divya. I'm a faculty at Azim Premji University teaching biology at the undergrad program. Do you know what these are? These colorful and varied structures are seeds from various plants, and these are microscopic images of them. In today's class, we'll look at seed dispersal. We'll first look at what are seeds, why are they important, and why are they important to be dispersed. We'll also look at these two scientists known as Janzen and Connell who proposed a hypothesis about seed dispersal. We'll then specifically go into figs as a case study and who eats figs and how are they effectively dispersing the seeds of figs. And then finally we'll look at a scientific study about seed dispersal and how it is carried out. Seeds, as you know, are embryos of plants packed with nutrition and they have an outer covering. And if you look at nutrition of seeds, they have a lot of fats, fiber, and various micronutrients and proteins. So they carry around 150 calories per ounce of a seed. So it's extremely nutritious. So you will see that doctors often advise you to have at least few seeds like almond or cashew or groundnuts per day. So angiosperms and gymnosperms produce these seeds, and these are there are examples or there are records of earliest seeds that could be traced back to 420 to 350 million years from gymnosperms. Okay, so these are fossil seeds which are found dating back to around 400 million years ago. And things like ferns, which are shown here, plants like ferns, mosses, this must be familiar to you, a wall, outside compound wall filled with moss or liverwort, they don't produce seeds, but they use water as a means to propagate themselves. So only angiosperms and gymnosperms produce seeds, and this you would have learned in your school. Okay, so seeds come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. You would have seen this. These are mustard seeds. They are tiny, right? And you put them for seasoning. Whereas here is this is what is known as a coco de mer seed, and these are around 25 kilos. Each of them are that heavy. So you can see that their shapes and sizes are really varied. And depending on that, their dispersal mechanism is also very, very different. Seeds needs to be carried away from the mother plant elsewhere in order for it to disperse, and then they'll germinate there, right? So seed dispersal can happen by wind if the seeds are very light. So here is a seed with almost like a parachute kind of a structure, which helps. Wind can carry the seed away from the parent plant. Here is a seed, again, a bunch of seeds. This is in milkweed plant, which are like when the seeds are ready to disperse, they are carried again through wind. This is again a familiar tree for you. These are coconut trees. These are dispersed by water. So if coconut trees are present near the coast, then the seed falls and they're carried by water. Of course, not all coconut trees are present near water bodies, but this is one common method of dispersal. A lot of seeds are also dispersed through animals agents, including us, right? So we eat, say, a mango or a grape or something else, and then we throw away the seeds. If we happen to throw it on the road or on the roadside where there is mud, it has a potential to germinate. Here is a dog which has roamed around in the grass, and its coat has a lot of tiny seeds. So when the dog goes somewhere else, it is dispersing these seeds. So various ways, mechanisms of seed dispersal. Right? So the question is, where should the seeds disperse so that most of them germinate? Right? The whole purpose of seed dispersal is for it to germinate. Should it disperse? Should it fall very close to the parent tree, or should it fall away, or should it be taken away from the parent tree? What would be better? I'll give a few seconds for you to think about it. So in fact, if the seed falls slightly away from the parent tree, the chances of it to germination is lot higher. So in fact, these two scientists known as Janzen and Connell proposed this hypothesis about seed dispersal. So this is a busy graph. I'll tell you what the axes have first, and then we'll talk about the graph. So on the x-axis is distance from the parent tree. So how far is the seed from the parent tree? So let's say that the parent tree is here, and the seed is, this distance gives how far it has gone from the parent tree. Okay, and on this side of the y-axis is number of seeds per unit area, how many seeds are present per unit area. And here is the probability that seeds or seedlings will mature. Not all seeds which have fallen will germinate, right? So this is the probability of that happening. So what you see here is if the seed falls directly below the parent tree, then yes, there are a lot of seeds which fall directly below the parent tree, and that this particular line, this curve is basically says that there are lot of seeds which fall right below the parent tree, and as the distance from the parent tree increases, number of seeds found decreases. But all of them do not survive. So here, what you see here is lots of seedling mortality. That means that if they fall right below the parent tree, they don't survive. So chances of them surviving if they're right below the parent tree is very, very less. We'll talk about why that is so in a minute. But say, for example, if they fall far away from parent tree, that is, say 50 meters or 100 meters from parent tree, then the probability of them surviving is very high, but there are not that many seeds which have, gone so far away. So there is a seedling survival sweet spot, which is, where these two lines cross. This area is optimal for seed survival, where it can germinate and become a mature plant. Okay, so this is what these two scientists proposed. And why is it that seeds can't survive under its own mother tree? Can you think about some reasons? Because there is a lot of shade under a tree, right? So seeds need a lot of sunlight in order to grow. That's one reason. And more importantly, there are a lot of predators and parasites which are very specific to that particular host tree, that particular species. So they will also eat the seeds. Parasites and predators, these are seed predators I'm talking about, which can take away the seed and eat them up or damage the seed. And also, if there are a lot of seeds in a place together, then there is also competition among seeds for the same resources, same sunlight, water, nutrients, everything, right? So because of this, chances of them surviving close to the parent tree is less. So we will actually look at whether this is actually true by looking at case studies. Okay, now let's look at this particular study conducted by Asmita Sengupta. She's in this place called A3 in Bangalore. She and her colleagues conducted study on Rhesus macaques. These are, you will be familiar with these monkeys. So she studied seed dispersal by Rhesus macaques in Buxa Tiger Reserve in West Bengal, and they published this in American Journal of Primatology. Okay, see, they asked, are fig eaters effective seed dispersals? Okay, they asked a lot of questions, but we are going to look at this particular question. So they were interested in knowing how many plant species are dispersed by macaques. Okay, because this study was conducted in a forest, right? So there are a lot of trees, there are a lot of plant species, and these macaques eat a lot of fruits and disperse those seeds. So they wanted to know how many plant species are dispersed by macaques. How are seeds handled? What do I mean by handled? Seeds, if they're small, they can be swallowed. If they're large, like mango or something, then they're thrown, right? So, how are seeds handled? And how far from parent tree are seeds deposited? And what is the effect of seed handling on germination? These are various questions that they were interested in knowing. We'll only focus on certain key questions. But before going into that, imagine how do you even find out what these monkeys are eating and are they good seed dispersers? So here is a sketch of how the study can be conducted. Here are monkeys. What do you have to do? You have to just sit and watch. You have to sit and watch what these monkeys are eating, and of course, this sketch illustrates that monkeys are nicely sitting, and there is a there is a human sitting slightly far observing them. But often monkeys are far away up in the on the near the canopy of the tree and eating um, uh, various fruits or leaves and whatnot, right? Or jumping from one branch to another branch. So you have to be very vigilant and careful and very silent, so that, and you perhaps have to use a binocular to see what they're eating. And you have to wait patiently so that if the monkeys drop these fruits or seeds, then you can look at it and say, okay, these are the seeds, these are the fruits eaten by monkeys, and these are the seeds that they are dispersing, right? So you have to do what is known as scan sampling, meaning you scan all the monkeys present on a tree or in an area, and then look at what they're doing, right? So this is one kind of field observation technique, sampling technique, which you can use to look at whether monkeys, what are the kinds of seeds that these monkeys are dispersing. So scan sampling requires observing monkeys closely, right? So would researchers' presence alter the behavior of monkeys? That's the question for you to think about. This is an important point because, say, suppose we are, jumping up and down. We are very happy seeing a monkey, and we are, making a noise and saying, messaging to each other. We are talking to our neighbors, and then seeing the monkey, and also recording data. That doesn't work, right? So we should be careful that our own behavior doesn't affect monkeys' behavior, and that doesn't affect data collection. So this is an important point because often when we are doing collecting data, our presence should not alter another animal's behavior, whether it's done in the lab or in the field. All right, getting back to the results. So, what Sengupta and her colleagues found was that monkeys ate fruits from close to 80 different species of plants in that forest. That's amazing, right? And monkeys ate fruits of 3 different fig species, and they swallowed the seeds of the figs. As you know from the earlier class, that fig seeds are tiny, right? So that can be swallowed. So monkeys did that, and they ate 3 species of figs. And on an average, the monkeys dispersed seeds more than 70 meters from the fig tree. So monkeys did not sit on the fig tree and ate it and dropped the fruit. They were traveling, they were plucking fig fruit, and they were traveling a little bit further, and they were dispersing these seeds. how do they disperse the seeds? If they're swallowing the seeds, they go through monkey's gut and the poop has a lot of seeds, right? So the dispersed seeds germinated faster and more seeds germinated than the control seeds. So the dispersed seeds are nothing but the seeds which have, gone through the monkey's gut, and monkey would have gone and pooped in some other place, and the seeds would have come down to the ground, and they will germinate, right? So what they're saying is the dispersed fig seeds germinated faster and more seeds were germinated than the control. That means that what is control here? Control is basically seeds which have not gone through monkey's gut. So what Sengupta et al. Did was they took fig fruits which were fallen from the tree and they themselves germinated them. So that acted as a control. So let's look at one more study. This is a graph from a neotropical study. This is a spider monkey. You can see that it is hanging from its tail. And I'm just going to tell you about this because this is an interesting graph, and you'll also get an exercise about how to interpret graphs. So this is about what happens to seeds when they pass through a monkey's gut. So there are a lot of studies done like this, not just Sengupta and her colleagues, but several people have done this, asked similar questions in various parts of the world. So here, what they're looking at is germination time of seeds and germination percentage of seeds. That means what percentage of seeds actually germinated and how long did it take to germinate when they were dispersed by monkeys, when they went through monkey's gut. Okay, so there are 3 different kinds of data which has been collected. One is folivore, frugivore. Folivores are monkeys which eat leaves and also fruit. Frugivore is species of monkeys which only eat fruits, and insectivore, frugivore are those which eat insects as well as fruits. So this is a study conducted by various kinds of monkeys, not just spider monkey, but different species, and they asked this question. I'm going to just concentrate on the frugivore part here. Rest of it you can read and interpret it later. So frugivore are the monkeys which only fed on fruits. So let's look at what the data says. Here on the x-axis, proportional change from control means baseline is control. From that, what is the change relative to the control? Okay, so if you look at the blue line here, basically this is the median or the mean value of proportional change, and these whatever is in parenthesis are actually the numbers, the actual number of data that these researchers have obtained. Okay, so let's look at germination time. For this is actually in this study, if you look at it, it's slightly less than 0, right? So when compared to control, the seeds dispersed by frugivore monkeys take slightly longer to germinate. That's what this means than control. This, you should look at this and see where it lies on the x-axis. But when you look at how many seeds actually germinated, they're far more than the control. So you look at it somewhere close to 80%. There is a variation. So this is the mean value, and these are error bars. This is the variation of the data point. Okay, so or the spread of the data. So definitely around close to 75 to 80% of them, of all the seeds which went through monkeys, get germinated, whereas germination time itself was lesser than control. So this is how seed germination studies and seed dispersal studies are carried out in an actual when you actually do research. Okay, so now let's think about how what happens. What is the pattern of seed dispersal when wind disperses the seeds? So if wind disperses the seeds, then what pattern of seed dispersal would you expect from each tree? Let's think about A, B, C, D are different trees which are wind dispersed. What do you expect? How do you expect the seed shadow to look when they're dispersed by wind? You would see that it's a clump distribution around the same trees. Okay, so small letters are seeds dispersed, and big capital letters are the trees, mother trees, around which they are dispersed. So you will see that most of A seeds are found closer to the mother tree. Some are, of course, dispersed elsewhere, and the pattern holds true for other trees as well. Okay, so let's look at one more example. If birds disperse these seeds, what pattern do you expect? So we have talked about winds, we have talked about monkeys dispersing seeds. What about birds? Knowing the biology of these, you know that birds fly. So what do you expect? Right? So this is something you can answer by yourself. Okay. Lastly, you should think about why is seed dispersal so important and how is that related to conservation. So as you can see, so let's see that these are different habitats. These are patchy habitats. That means that if you look at any forest, it's very, very difficult to find a continuous forest where animals can move from one patch to another patch without any without any disturbance. So often what we find is because of logging or because of one road is going in the middle or because of various reasons, forest or tree covers, basically they are just found in patches. You can even think about urban landscape for that matter. There are some trees in a clumped, distributed in a clumped pattern, and then there are a lot of urban, apartments or whatnot, and then there again will be some clump of trees, right? So, what happens to seed dispersal if the habitat is fragmented? Let's take up one example. This is W is wind dispersed, seed. B is bird dispersed, and M is monkey dispersed. What happens to these seeds? So if suppose, say for example, monkeys has to there are plants which are where fruits are eaten by monkeys and they have to be dispersed here. Is it possible, or the chances of these seeds going to this patch of forested land, is it likely? There might, monkeys might be scared to walk from one habitat patch to another because there is, let's say there's a lot of heavy traffic in this area. So that becomes really difficult for the plant to survive elsewhere, right? So these are conservation issues where people are thinking that, okay, how do we even connect these habitat patches? Can we connect so that facilitate movement of animals from one area to another area and hence help in dispersal of these seeds? So these are important point. I'm not going in detail about this due to lack of time, but you should think about it. So in summary, we know that seeds and fruits come in different shapes and sizes. These traits are shaped by natural selection for specific dispersal mechanism. That means that if it is if it is wind dispersed, it has to be carried through wind. So it is adapted for wind dispersal. Or if it is water dispersal, it is adapted for water dispersal. So natural selection has shaped them for various means of dispersal. Wind dispersal results in more seeds clumped near the parental tree. whereas animal dispersal results in clump distribution away from parental trees. And finally, fragmented habitats hinder animal movement and thus hinder seed dispersal. So one has to be really careful to kind of think about how to conserve these habitats.